Hi, boys and girls. Welcome to Math on Tuesday, April 21st. We are going to dive in today to lesson 14.2, which is all about elapsed time, finding elapsed time. Now, elapsed time means finding time in between two measurements, a start time and an end time. We're going to start by watching a brain pop, and then we're going to dive into the lesson solve and share 14.2. So while we watch the video, you need to have your workbook open to page 745. All right, we're going to start by watching the video and then dive into the solve and share. Oh.
I know, but Mom gave us strict orders to be home by 6 o'clock sharp for dinner. Well, the movie is an hour and 35 minutes long. If we figure out exactly what time the movie lets out, we'll know whether we can make it home in time. Dear Tim and Moby, what is elapsed time? From Towson. Elapsed time is the amount of time that elapses or passes from the start of an activity to the end. Knowing how to solve elapsed time problems is important for making plans, like catching a cool new sci-fi action flick. It's also an important part of time management in general. Like if you crawl out of bed at 7:35 and school starts at 8, you'll know how much time you have to get ready. Well, your days of tardiness are numbered, my friend. There are tons of ways to solve elapsed time problems, but we'll stick with two: the cutout clock with movable hands and the T-chart. Don't worry, you'll get it after we try a few examples. First, let's figure out when Time Twisters is really going to start. It says it's starting at 3:10, but we know there will be about 15 minutes of previews and commercials first. So, what time will the movie really start? Let's use the T-chart for this one. We write the starting time above the left column and minutes above the right column. We know previews take 15 minutes, so we fill the right column with 5-minute intervals until we total 15. Then we add 5 minutes at a time to the start time. The time we get when we catch up to the right column is our answer. Okay, let's try another one with the clock. We took the 2:20 bus and got to the movie theater at 2:55. How long did the bus ride last? To the clock. First, we set the hands to the starting time. Then we move the minute hand 5 minutes at a time, counting as we move to the finish time. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, and 35 minutes. And that's how long the bus ride lasted. Right, the T-chart and the clock both use the same basic strategy. Take the starting time, then add minutes in bite-sized chunks until you reach the ending time. This way, the strategy also works for larger units of time, like days, weeks, months, and years. So we can calculate how many days we'd have to wait if we want to see the movie next Tuesday, or what year it'll be when Time Twisters 2, the sequel, comes out 3 years from now. Exactly. Use the same T-chart, but just replace minutes with days or years. Or swap out the clock for a calendar. But that's a problem for another time. Back to minutes and hours. Let's use both the clock and the T-chart for something that lasts longer than an hour, like the 3:10 showing of Time Twisters. We simply tackle the hours first, then the minutes. First, remember we already figured out that after the previews, the movie won't start until 3:25. The movie is 1 hour and 35 minutes long, so let's add that hour first. Then let's add 35 minutes. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, and 35. Since the minute hand has made a full circle on the clock, we advance the hour 1 more hour. And there you have it. The movie ends at exactly 5 o'clock. We'll confirm that by drawing two T-charts, one for hours and one for minutes. Starting with hours, we add 1 to each column. That gets us to 4:25, which we plug into the second chart as our new starting time. Now we can add minutes by 5. There you have it. We'll be out of time twisters at 5 o'clock with an hour to spare before dinner. Right, even with a 35-minute bus ride, we'll definitely make it home in time. Of course, that assumes the bus doesn't take 3 days to get here.
All right, so now we're going to do our solve and share. So this starts with Denise. She went to a movie. The movie started at 1:05, very similar to Tim and Moby. It ended at 2:35. How long did the movie last? Explain your reasoning. So here's our start time, 1:05. The minute hand is pointing to the 1 and the hour hand is pointing to the 1. So 1:05. And then because we know that 1 represents 5 minutes, right? So this is going to be 1:05. And our end time, our hour hand is in between our 2 and our 3. So I know it's past 2. It's not quite 3 yet. It's past 2. I know it tells us up here, but let's just make sure based on what we know about reading a clock. So 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 2:35. I want to know, boys and girls, how much time is in between these two times. Now, I can do this with a clock. I can do this with an actual clock and manipulate it, even though that might be a little bit more difficult because you don't have a clock and I have one, but it's really hard to see. Okay, so if I started at 1:05, I'm going to start by using the T-chart method. So 1:05, and Tim and Moby said to start with hours. Okay, so I'm going to start with hours, and I'm going to add 1 hour. If I add 1 hour, that's going to give me 2:05. Okay. Now I need to get to 2:35. So I could add 5-minute increments. 5, that would give me 2:10. I can add 5 more. That would get me to 2:15. 5 more will get me to 2:20. 5 more, 2:25. See how I'm adding 5 minutes each time? 5 more, 2:30. Now I've got to get to 2:35, so I'm getting close. 5 more minutes, I think will get me there. 2:35. Now if I add up all of this 1 hour plus these 5-minute increments, look, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. So it takes me 1 hour and 30 minutes to watch the movie. Okay? It takes me 1 hour and 30 minutes to watch the movie. Now, I can also do this with a number line. I'm going to do this with a number line using Jamboards. To show you 1:05 to 2:35. And you all know that I prefer number lines, just because you can use them. An open number line, you start with anything. So if I start here with a number line, it's not perfectly straight. I'm starting here with 105 because that's my start time. That's my start time. Now, excuse my writing, but now on a number line, I'm trying to get to 235. Okay. 235. Oh my goodness. Okay, 235. Now I'm going to use mountains and hills to represent hours and minutes. Mountains, that's going to give me a peak, and that's going to be 1 hour. 1 hour. And that's going to get me to 205. Now I can jump by 5 minutes to get to 235. So count with me by fives to 10, 215, 220, 225, 230, 235. Each of these represents 5-minute hops, 5-minute jumps. 5, 5. So I have 1 hour, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. So again, I know my answer. The movie lasts 1 hour and 30 minutes. And I'm just going to abbreviate minutes. Okay? So now let's go back and do our visual learning. You can be following along in your book on page 746. Okay, follow along on your book in your workbook on page 746.
How can you find elapsed time? Think about this question during the lesson. Janie took part in a charity walk. The walk started at 7:10 a.m. It ended at 11:20 a.m. How long did the walk last? Elapsed time is the total amount of time that passes from the starting time to the ending time. Another way to describe elapsed time is how long something lasts. The hours between midnight and noon are AM hours. The hours between noon and midnight are PM hours. Did the walk start and end before or after noon? How do you know? The walk started and ended before noon because AM is used with both times.
AM is morning.
Find the elapsed time. Step 1. Find the starting time. How do you know this clock shows the correct starting time of 7:10?
How do we know that shows 7:10? Look at the hour. The hour hand is pointing to 7. The minute hand is pointing to the 10. So we've got 5:10. 7:10 is our starting time.
The hour hand, or the shorter hand, is on the 7, and the minute hand, or the longer hand, is on the 2, which stands for 10 minutes. Step 2. Count the hours. When you count 1, 2, 3, 4 with the hour hand, what are you counting?
You would be counting the hours. So we're going from 7:10 to 11:20. So we're going 1, 2, 3, 4 hours.
You are counting the hours that pass when the hour hand moves from 7 to 11. There are 4 hours between 7 o'clock and 11 o'clock. Step 3. Count the minutes. Each number on the clock represents 5 minutes. So from 2 to 3 is 5 minutes, and from 3 to 4 is another 5 minutes, or 10 minutes total. Add the hours and minutes counted to find the elapsed time. The walk lasted 4 hours, 10 minutes. That's a lot of walking.
Okay, so we've got 7:10. Now we're going to count 1 hour. Drag the slider to find the elapsed time. Oh. Okay, 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours. So that gets us to 11:10. We need to get to 11:20. So 5 more and another 5 more. So 4 hours and 10 minutes has passed from the start time to the end time. 4 hours and 10 minutes passed.
Now you know how to find elapsed time.
I want to show you this on a number line. At the top of page 747 in your workbook, boys and girls, this same example that we had with Janie and her charity walk that she took part in, this is at the very top of the page in your workbook. So I want you to look at the very top. It says another example on the top of page 747. It's the same problem, but it's done using a number line. Okay, now I really love this. So you can use a number line to measure elapsed time. Look, the walk starts at 7:10. And they added, instead of just counting by 1 hour, they just went ahead and added 4 hours. So 8:10, 9:10, 10:10, 11:10. That's 4 hours. I could go in and mark 8:10, 9:10, 10:10, 11:10. Each of these represents 1 hour. Okay? So that gets me to 11:10. I need to get to 11:20. So how many minutes passed from 11:10 to 11:20? Well, that's 10 minutes. Okay? So altogether, it's 4 hours and 10 minutes. The walk lasted 4 hours and 10 minutes. Okay, now let's go down to do some guided practice. So I want you to think about this. This is a reasoning question. If the start time is 7:15, say the bell rings at school at 7:15 a.m. and an end time is 8:05, why do you not have to count hours to find the elapsed time there? 7:15 to 8:05 is less than 1 hour. If I said 7:15 plus 1 hour on a number line, 1 hour would be 8:15. So it's less than an hour because I'm trying to get to 8:05. This would be 1 hour. And the question doesn't ask about 8:15, it asks about 8:05. So 7:15 to 8:05 would be 50 minutes. This is 60 minutes. 10 minutes before this would be 8:05. Okay? A movie started at 2:30 and ran for 2 hours and 15 minutes. When did the movie end? I'm going to use this clock. Make sure I've got the problem right. 2:30 p.m. and ran for 2 hours and 15 minutes. I'm going to give you all access to this clock. So first we have to make it 2:30. I think that's right. Why can I not remember this? Okay, 2:30, 2 hours and 15 minutes. Now, I want to show 2 hours have passed. So this is 2:30. So in 1 hour, 2:30 plus 1 hour would be 3:30. Okay? 3:30. That's 1 hour. 1 more hour would be 4:30. Now I want to go 15 minutes. That's 2 hours. I've done the 2 hours. So 2:30 to 3:30, 3:30 to 4:30, and now I have to do 15 minutes. 5, 10, 15. So what time is it? It's not past 5 yet. It's 4. If we start here, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45. It's 4:45. The hour hand we count by the numbers. The minute hand we count by fives. So this would be 4:45. The movie ends at 4:45. Now we are given 2 clocks. Draw arrows on the second clock to count the hours from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. What is the elapsed time? 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. So here's 11. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. How many hours passed? How many hops of 1 hour did I make to get to 5? 11, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hours. 6 hours is the elapsed time from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. Okay, now let's slide down and look at these. On page 747, I have a start time, number 4. Put your finger on number 4. I have a start time of 6:30, and I have an end time of 9:50. So I'm going to count my hours first. 6:30 to 9:30, 6:30 to 9:50, but I'm going to say 9:30 because it's easier. So 6:30 right here, 6:30. 1 hour would be 7:30. Another hour would be 8:30, and another hour would be 9:30. If I did my T-chart, So I'm starting at 6:30, and I'm adding hours first. So 1 hour would be 7:30. I like the T-chart method just because you can keep track of your time. 2 hours, if I add 2 hours, that would be 8:30. And a third hour would be 9:30. Now, can I add another hour? If I added a 4th hour, that would put me to 10:30, and I only need to go to 9:50. So I can't add a whole nother hour. So I have to think, okay, I've added my hour, so I know I'm adding 3 hours here to get to 9:30. Now, how many minutes do I need to get to 9:50? Well, I could count by fives. I could count by tens, either one. Or you might just know how many minutes is it from 9:50 to 9:30 to 9:50. You might just know that mentally. I'm going to count by 10-minute increments. So 10 minutes, I'm going to put an M just so we know that that's minutes. I'm changing to minutes here. That's going to be 9:40. Okay. And then if I add 10 more minutes, that's going to be 9:50. So when I add up my hours, I have 3 hours and how many minutes? 10 minutes. So if I put those together, my elapsed time is 3 hours and 10 minutes here. Now, if we go back to the problem, look, hours from 6:30 to 9:30. We did that right here. Hours from 6:30 to 9:30. Uh, 3 hours. Minutes from 9:30 to 9:50. How many minutes did we add here? Oh, we didn't add 10 minutes. Look, 10 plus 10. I did my math wrong. 10 plus 10 is 20. 20 minutes. Okay? So this would be 20 minutes. So when I put those together, I have elapsed time 3 hours and 20 minutes. So that's what you should have written down for number 4. Number 4. Now let's do number 5. Number 5 is 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. 10 p.m. to 3 p.m. We could use a T-chart. If I'm going from 10 until 3, all I have to do here is add hours. 1 hour at a time. So if I add 1 hour, that's going to be 11 a.m. If I add another hour, I can draw a line just to keep these a little bit straighter. That'll be 12. Another hour, 1. Another hour, 2. Another hour, 3. So how many hours did I add in all? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hours. Okay, now I know that's not the neatest. I'm sorry that it's not neater, boys and girls, but this from 10 to 3, or you could just count on your fingers. 10 to 11, 11 to 12, 12 to 1, 1 to 2, 2 to 3. I could draw a number line and I could say 10 to 11 is 1 hour. To another hour is 12. Another hour is 1. Another hour is 2. Another hour is 3. Each hump, or I could make these mountains. I like the idea of mountains being an hour. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 hours is the elapsed time here. 5 hours. Okay. Now number 6 says 9:15 to 10:45. If I use a number line here, I'm going to start at 9:15. Now can I add an hour? If I'm going to 10:45, can I add, oh shoot, let me do this again. Okay, it gives you this line to work through, so we might as well use that. Okay, so 9:15 Plus 1 hour is what, boys and girls? I'm going to 10:45. $9:15 plus 1 hour. If I do that in Mountain, 1 hour would be 10:15. Okay, now I need to go 10:15 to 10:45. So I'm going to say 10:20, 5-minute increments, 10:25, 10:30, 10:35, 10:40, 10:45, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. So here, our time that's passed is 1 hour and 30 minutes. Okay. Now, if we go back to this clock, and I want to say that our start time is 11:30. Okay. So for number 7 down here at the bottom, our start time is 11:30. Elapsed time is 5 hours and 25 minutes. So I want to count up 5 minutes or 5 hours. So I'm going to count 1 full hour. No. Okay, here's 11:30, and we're adding, we want to know what time, we're finding our end time here. We have the elapsed time, so I have to count up 5 hours and 25 minutes and see what time. Think about if you had baseball practice or a baseball game. 11:30 is the start time. The game lasts 5 hours and 25 minutes. That's the elapsed time. What time will you be finished with the game after 5 hours and 25 minutes? So if I add an hour, so it would be 12:30. That's 1 hour. 2 hours. 3 hours. See how it's counting? The clock is counting. 4 hours. 5 hours. So that's our 5 hour mark. 5 hours and 25 minutes. 25 minutes. Now I want to go 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. I'm saying 5 hours and 25 minutes. Now what time is it on this clock? Our clock it's almost 5. It's not past 5 yet. So it's still in the 4 hour. Look how close it is to 5 o'clock. So it's 4:55. It's 4:55. You would be done with your game at 4:55. If you started at 11:30 and it lasted 5 hours and 25 minutes. Okay. Now, we're going to do more practice with this tomorrow. We're not going on to 14.3 tomorrow. We will be doing more practice with 14.2. For right now, I want you to complete Practice Buddy 14.2. And if you get some wrong, it's okay. It will show you how to work through these problems. But you are finding the time that's passed between a start time and an end time, how much time passed. I will put this website on Google Classroom for you to use if you need to manipulate a clock. This would be very helpful. But your assignment right now, after you've completed this page, you've worked with me through page 747. Now you're going to do Practice Buddy 14.2. If you have any questions, use Google Hangouts to contact us. Okay, use Google Hangouts to contact us. All right, boys and girls, I hope that you have a great evening. Please contact us if you have any questions. And tomorrow we'll be doing 14.2 again. Okay? So you guys have a great night, and I will see you all tomorrow. Bye.